Across all Pokemon, there has always been one that definitively stands at the top. No Pokemon even dares challenge the supremacy of this one. Now, I'm sure you may have arrived at your own conclusion on what you believe to be the greatest Pokemon of all time, but I'm here to tell you that the one and only correct answer is, of course, Bidoof. So today, I decided to see whether or not the grace and glory of a singular Bidoof would be enough to beat Pokemon Platinum from start to finish. Let's jump in. Oh, but before we start, I just want to remind you all to subscribe if you haven't already. It helps me a ton and lets you know whenever I'm uploading new videos. Thanks. We started off by naming ourselves Nez and our rival Barry, and after that, it was off into the world of Pokemon for us. After confessing my love for Pokemon to the professor, we received our Bidoof, making sure to select the slot that Chimchar was within, a fact that did not end up mattering because I randomized the game incorrectly, so Barry had a Chimchar anyways. However, after a few tackles, his Chimchar easily fell to our Bidoof. Following a bit of chat, we nicknamed our Bidoof Almighty and carried on with our adventure. We sailed through Route 202, challenged a few school kids for some free XP, received the latest smartwatch, and then made sure to pick up a Quick Claw from this lady here. With Bidoof at level 10 after a bit of training, we made our way east and bumped into our rival for a quick battle. Bidoof made short work of his Starly, but his Chimchar posed a bigger threat as it brought me to -6 defense. So I kinda need Quick Claw to work. It did not work. Oh my god! After that slight scare, we continued towards the next gym, ran into this trainer with a Machop who we decided to let go as a mercy, and learned Rollout at level 13. After entering Orbit Gate, this guy gifted us HM06 Rock Smash. This HM gave Bidoof a move that wasn't normal type and actually super effective against the upcoming rock type gym leader. However, technique alone proved insufficient as we made our way to the gym and challenged Rourke for the first time. Quick Claw? Nope, never mind. Long story short, we didn't have enough muscle to crack Rourke's tough rock Pokemon. Bidoof's attack was too low, so we had to take a step back and train up some more. We spent some time practicing our new move versus Wild Rocks in order to build up the proper experience to take on this gym and hopefully win the next time around. So, after bashing Bidoof into Wild Rocks until we hit level 24, we were finally able to outspeed and defeat Rourke and move on towards the second gym. Carried on, battling trainers only if I accidentally ran into them, and made our way to the Valley Windworks. Inside, we quickly challenged Commander Mars, confident that we could beat her with a rollout, and she has Fake Out. Okay, take two. We used Headbutt and the fight was over quickly. Eterna Forest was a breeze, and the second gym seemed to be heading in a similar path, but we were just a bit shy of beating her Roserade. However, instead of training some more, I decided to take a chance and see if my luck could shine through, and on the second attempt, this happened. Magical Leaf's gonna hurt. I can't watch. Okay. No! Come on, man. Come on. All I asked for was a single headbutt. Quick Claw. Come on. Oh my god, let's go, dude. After beating the gym, we taught Almighty Return, a move that would vastly outshine Headbutt, and headed to the Galactic base to take on Commander Jupiter, and one with just a few hit points to spare. From here, the path to the fourth gym was again a walk in the park. However, actually challenging this gym was a problem that I had considered coming into this run. Unfortunately, through level up alone, Bidoof can only learn Rollout as a move to even hit ghost types, which had started to become an unreliable move. And unfortunately for our plump mouse, the moves available to us through TMs at this point in the game were also minimal. Despite this, I decided to try my luck at challenging Fantina, and the first two attempts were ended by Confuse Rays, Curses, and Burns. With our moveset exhausted and a desire to not spend the entirety of this run grinding, I looked again to the available TMs and saw a solution. TM46 Thief, a 40 base power dark type move that Bidoof could learn. Not only did this give me a super effective move against Fantina's ghost types, but it also allowed me to utilize the citrus berry that her ace, Miss Magius, carried. So, on our third attempt, Almighty was able to pummel Fantina's ghosts back into the spirit world, and we were able to continue our journey. But that freedom to progress the story did not last long, as we were slated to battle against our rival yet again. Unlike last time, however, Barry's lead Pokemon, Staravia, had two very annoying tools at its disposal. Firstly, it had the ability Intimidate, which will always lower my attack since Almighty is the only Pokemon we can do battle with and are forced to send out versus him. Secondly, Staravia had the move Endeavor, an attack that lowers your opponent's HP to match your own. This meant that not only did I have to find a way to defeat Staravia without it reducing my health substantially, but I also had to be strong enough to defeat the rest of Barry's Pokemon even through the Intimidate. we weren't strong enough yet, so it was back to the tall grass, and after spending some time running around, Bidoof grew to level 41 and learned Superpower, a move that would be helpful to us later. With our newfound strength, I was confident that we could beat Barry this time, so I ran headfirst into battle. This time, all it took was 5 returns in a row and the battle was ours. We pressed on, spent a bit of time in Salacion Town collecting items, bought some milk, and made our way to Gym 4, the fighting gym. Going into this run, I was really terrified that this would be an even bigger obstacle than any other fight that we had seen thus far. After all, Bidoof was fairly slow and also fairly weak to fighting types. But this was also when I realized that Almighty deserved more faith and confidence from me. Without breaking a sweat, he stomped his way through the gym trainers, hit level 45 and learned his final level up move, Curse, and challenged Maylene without hesitation. We used Return on Meditite, repeated from a choke, and crushed her ace Lucario with Superpower. Onward we went, and by the time we reached our next opponent's doors, we were level 49. We came in like a tsunami, taking Crusher Wake's gym by a storm, but unfortunately, the confidence we had built from crushing Maylene proved to be our downfall. His lead Gyarados, possessing Intimidate as its ability, weakened us enough and stopped our momentum completely. Despite teaching our Bidoof Shockwave to beat his water types, it seemed like this gym was unbeatable for the time being. I knew it was time for some more training, so after dropping off Bidoof at the daycare and biking up and down for longer than I'd like to admit, we reached level 57, which is where I felt confident enough in our strength to challenge the gym and win. We used Shockwave on Gyarados for the one-hit KO and managed to bring down his Floatzel and Quagsire with our turn. The 5th badge was ours. Heading back north, we ran into Cynthia, who gave us some Pokemon Advil, and Celestic Town, we ran into some old guy preaching about space and time. Not really sure what he was going on about, I just wanted to see Bidoof in action. 3 returns in a row and the battle was ours. After getting a hint to head west towards Canalave City, we pressed forward and came across Barry again. This guy just will not learn. After boosting our attack one stage with Curse, our Bidoof was able to completely demolish his team. Next up was the Canalave City Gym, a battle that would truly test Bidoof's raw strength. However, during my first run, I only had Rock Smash as a viable move to fight against leader Byron and his Pokemon, and my pride simply would not allow me to stall my winning streak any longer, so I rushed blindly into battle and was quickly met with defeat as his Magneton thunderbolted my Bidoof into submission. After reteaching Bidoof Superpower, we returned to the gym battle and crushed Byron's team. We progressed through the story and, after playing in the snow for a bit, found ourselves at Snowpoint City, ready to take on the 7th gym battle. Going into this battle, I made sure to teach Bidoof Shadow Ball in preparation for Candace's Frostlass, and with my confidence at an all-time high, I challenged her and quickly lost. Turns out her Pokemon were not only beefy enough to live a return, but also faster than Bidoof, leaving me to lose to a blizzard from her Frostlass. It must have been a fluke, or that was what I told myself to feel better. So I decided instead of using any part of my brain, I'd just immediately challenge her again, and win this time. And it took me about 9 tries before I realized I was too weak for this battle. After grinding to level 72, we were able to beat Candace and move on with the game. We spent some time getting lost in Team Galactic's headquarters, curb stomped Cyrus, acquired the Master Ball, and began our trek towards the top of Mount Coronet. Once we reached the peak, Cyrus performed a bit of witchcraft to summon Giratina, best girl Cynthia showed up, and we hopped into the distortion world. This place is horrible. There were points in this run where I thought times were tough or a particular fight was going to be difficult, but for the most part, a bit of thinking and some leveling was usually the easiest way to overcome these obstacles. However, at this point in the game, our Bidoof was so vastly above anything else that we would come across that grinding for experience was not only tedious, but really hard to do. We've also essentially covered every necessary item, move, or strategy that we would need to take advantage of to win. Not to mention my idiotic pride and low intelligence also being active detriments towards our victory. All of these factors combined in the worst way possible when we had to face Cyrus. His team was systematically constructed to destroy me as much as possible. He leads with Houndoom, which in every single one of my 51 takes was able to outspeed me. This absolute beast always threatens about half of Bidoof's health bar or a burn from Will-O-Wisp. Luckily, we catch some slack with Cyrus's ace, and ironically the only Pokemon on his team that we outspeed and one-shot. Up next is Gyarados, which has Intimidate for its ability. And if you remember from some of my previous encounters with Intimidate, this ability is a pain in my ass. And as if that wasn't enough, we have to deal with a Fake Out from his Weavile, which will also always hit an Ice Punch and bring me close to death, which means that in practically any attempt where I even catch a glimpse of Cyrus's Crobat, I am almost immediately outsped and crushed by Cross Poison or Air Slash. Sorry, I got a bit carried away. Let's rewind a bit and figure out how I actually passed this seemingly unbeatable roadblock. In previous fights that took more than a handful of tries, usually leveling was the way to go for the most part, or some sort of addition of a gimmick move to pull us through the fight. And as with those fights, Cyrus' solution was the same. Though it was an absolute chore, we did manage to grind up Almighty to level 80, the bare minimum to be tanky enough to survive the necessary attacks and ensure one-shots on all of his Pokemon. On top of this, we also taught Almighty Thunderbolt. Not sure how he can learn that, but okay. Which is going to be pivotal versus his Gyarados and Crobat. However, just having these strategies was not enough. We also needed a few things to happen during the battle in order for us to win. We needed Houndoom to miss a Will-O-Wisp. Honchkrow, as mentioned before, is no threat, so we just return and move on. Gyarados cannot crit us or take us into the yellow. We're just looking to stay healthy after Waterfall, and after Intimidate, we pivot to using Thunderbolt, which always takes it out. Weavile is next, and similar to Gyarados, we need it to hit softly, more so since it will always go for a fake out into Ice Punch. Of course, being frozen here does mean the battle is lost. Lastly, if we do make it to Crobat, we need to be healthy enough to survive one attack and land a Thunderbolt, just like we did on our 51st attempt to finally win the battle.
It's finally over. It's finally over. I can finally move on.
Beaten and bruised, but still absolutely victorious, we managed to continue the game and squared off against Giratina, the ruler of the Distortion World, a legendary Pokemon with stats that would make most tremble in fear, a being of absolute... Yeah, we just threw the purple ball and insta-caught it and left. After conquering that mountain, it felt as though the rest of the run would be smooth sailing. Bidoof was still steadily approaching level 100, and surely at that point, nobody else in the Sinnoh region would be a match for us. Surely? Nonetheless, we pressed on to the 8th and final gym battle against Volkner. It was safe to say that at this point during stream I was a bit annoyed, and failing the first 3 attempts at Volkner didn't really help with that. But still, it was a relatively easy battle, and after acquiring our final badge, we could move on to the Pokemon League where the Elite Four awaited us. Victory Road wasn't too special, and upon arriving at the Elite Four, I figured it was about time we put our feeble brain to some use, and spent about 30 minutes drafting up plans for how we would deal with each member specifically. Until I remembered that we had to have just one last showdown with Barry before that. Similar to the Cyrus fight, we just did not have enough speed or defenses to get past each and every one of his Pokemon, his Intimidate Staraptor doing little to help us in our cause. Thus, I surmised that the best way forward would be to push Almighty all the way to level 100, and after spending 20 minutes attempting to get to just level 90, I realized that grinding was stupid and dumb, and I gave myself some rare candies to get the rest of the way there. Now, at level 100, we could finally eliminate one of the many variables in our battles, and solely focus on strategy with our moves and held items. Barry's fight was incredibly tough, primarily because his Pokemon were still pretty fast and 4 of them carried fighting moves. Though, with a bit of luck and determination, we were able to push through and beat him, finally clearing the way to the Elite Four. Now able to put to the test our previously conceived strategies, it was time for the best Bidoof beatdown the world's ever seen on Sinnoh's strongest. Aaron was first, and a simple Silk Scarf plus return combo was enough to do him in. Bertha came next, and our trusted metronome alongside Ice Beam proved to be fatal for her after a few attempts. Flint's fire types forced me to rely on Silk Scarf boosted returns and a bit of luck after. Last up was Lucian, who has an Alakazam with Focus Blast, and also stomped me about 10 times before I got the lucky run where he missed and I could actually win. We had done it. We'd come so far from that small house back in Twinleaf Town, and here we were, ready to face the champion. We'd overcome trials, be they big or small. We'd pushed past our limits and proved that Bidoof was far more than just some HM slave or crappy Route 1 Pokemon. To say that I'm proud of this progress that we made thus far would be the absolute truth. Now, why do I say all this, you may ask? Well, if Cyrus in the Distortion World was purgatory, then we had finally stumbled our way into hell. I don't even know where to begin with Cynthia. Let's just start with her team. Cynthia, historically, has been considered one of the toughest battles across all Pokemon games, and there's a good reason why. Not only is her team extremely well-rounded with a lot of type coverage, but they are also some of the only NPC Pokemon that have perfect IVs, making them cut from a different cloth than most. Her lead Spiritomb possesses no weaknesses and an immunity to both Return and Superpower, some of our strongest moves. Lucario has Stab Aura Sphere and Extreme Speed, guaranteeing to always hit us hard or hit us first. Togekiss similarly has Aura Sphere again, a move that bypasses accuracy check. For our intents and purposes, this is where I'll stop the analysis of Cynthia's team. Why is that, you may ask? Well, after close to 200 tries, I had to face the facts and admit that there was no realistic way that I could beat Cynthia. We spent a lot of time both on and off camera attempting the battle, trying out new moves and combos, and in the end they all proved to be in vain. In all of these attempts, and across 2 days of streaming, the furthest I was ever able to go was to her third Pokemon, Togekiss, and even then this scenario was scarce. To detail just how daunting of a task this battle really was, let me lay out a few things. Firstly, since Bidoof was level 100, and EV trained naturally as we progressed through the game, our stats were set in stone, and off the bat, those stats guaranteed us to be slower than majority of Cynthia's Pokemon. Of course, this is something that we had dealt with in the past, but in most scenarios, our level gap was big enough that our remainder stats were able to carry us. The same cannot be said of Cynthia's perfect IV Pokemon. Secondly, our statistical chances of getting an optimal run were at best far beneath 1%. This example of a perfect run goes something like this. Blizzard crits to one-shot Spiritomb, or freezes and stays frozen for a turn. Quick Claw activation into a high roll Dig to one-shot Lucario. Another Quick Claw activation into a high roll Blizzard to confirm a kill on Togekiss. So yeah, it just wasn't gonna happen. Even if our 1 in 14 million chance outcome did happen, we would then have to deal with her final 3 Pokemon, most of which will outspeed and hit us hard. As much as it pains me to say, I just didn't see it worth my time to throw myself at this problem when I had already spent nearly 8 hours on and off stream grinding away at this battle to see if I could find an optimal moveset or path to victory. Sure, we did have a bit of fun during the many Cynthia battles, but we also had to be realistic and recognize that the answer to our first question was no. You cannot beat Pokemon Platinum with only a Bidoof. Or at least, I couldn't beat it. I mentioned previously that because we had EV trained Bidoof fairly naturally, our stats were set in stone for a while, and luckily for us, they did pan out relatively well. However, I am confident that under different circumstances and with appropriate EVs and a worthwhile nature, Bidoof does have a realistic shot at this. For the most part, and particularly with the Cynthia battle, speed was our limiting stat, and I think if we were able to outspeed her Pokemon, the battle suddenly becomes extremely winnable. This is a theory I just can't really test out since it would mean restarting the run, and I just don't have the time, nor do I have the want to do so right now. Maybe one day I'll return to this run to claim victory, or if this hits a billion likes, I'll do it again. But as it stands, I am still very proud of this run. It did ultimately end in failure, but I don't really see it as one. I took Bidoof, the plump mouse Pokemon, further than I ever believed it would be able to go. I really hope that I was able to put some respect on Bidoof's name, and hopefully after this video, you too have a newfound appreciation for this lovable rodent. On screen, I have a few of my final thoughts and revelations for anyone else who wants to attempt this run to see if they beat Cynthia, or for those interested in some details I may have skimmed over. Again, I did stream all this live, so make sure to go leave a follow over there for some more off-the-wall challenges and playthroughs. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more of my stuff. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. At least we get another run. She full stores it. What? Ooh. Ooh.